Import footage into After Effects, you can go up to File, wrong application, File, Import, and you can choose from a number of different options, the top two being File and Multiple Files. If you want to import a single file, then you can do it much quicker by either going Apple I, control clicking and going Import File, or quickest of all probably double clicking on the project panel, and it will ask you which files that you want to bring in, or which single file you want to bring in. So I'll bring in a JPEG. This is very straightforward. Click open and it comes into the project panel here. Now video, audio and bitmaps are very straightforward. They're just single objects that After Effects looks at as footage. What you'll also find yourself doing is importing layered files such as Photoshop files and Illustrator files. To do that, you have a few extra options that you can select from before you bring the file in. If I select an Illustrator file, for example, and I'll just show you that Illustrator file in Illustrator, it has 4 layers, each one containing one of these shapes. And when I select a vector file, it will ask me, do I want to bring it in as footage or do I want to bring it in as a composition? If I bring it in as footage, it will ask me if I want to take one of the layers that were in the Illustrator file or do I want to bring them all in as merged layers. If I choose merge layers and click OK, then I have just a flat vector file. So everything is stuck together essentially here and it's treated as one object in Illustrator. Now chances are if you're using a layered file, you're going to want to access each of its layers individually to create some sort of an animation. This time I'll select the Illustrator file and go to Composition, click Open. Now what I have is a number of items have appeared in my project panel. I have a composition that After Effects has automatically created, which contains each of the layers of my Illustrator file. Now I can select any one of these layers separately now, and I can move them around independently of the other layers. What After Effects also brings in is a folder that allows you to use each of the layers from your Illustrator file individually. So I could drag out, for instance, another star now if I wanted to and place it somewhere on the, okay, where's that gone? So I could bring out another star and add it to the composition if I wanted to. So I'll just undo all that. So the objects that you get when you import a layered file are the composition, if you choose it, and the layers themselves. Now I chose composition and not composition retain layer sizes, which means that each one of these objects, even though they're much smaller than the total size of the image itself, their bounding box still is made up of the edge of the image. So if I want to scale down and do things like that, it's a little bit awkward because the bounding box is the same for everything and it's not snapped tightly to the object, which is what you might want a lot of the time. So that's why you would choose the third option. I'll just delete these, selecting the file and going Composition, Retain Layer Sizes. So I click Open. This time when I double click on my composition to load it up on the timeline and click on an object, you'll see that the bounding box is now just around the object itself, which makes it a little bit tidier for me to do scaling operations, etc. Now if I want to bring in a Photoshop file, I have similar choices to make. So do I want it to bring in as footage, composition, or composition retain layer sizes? So I'll bring it in as a composition retain layer sizes, click open. Now it's going to ask me a few extra questions. Do I want, if I have layer styles applied to any of these layers, do I want to leave them editable in After Effects, or do I want to merge them in or flatten them onto the layer that contains them? So if you have a certain range of layer styles applied and you bring it in with this option, you'll be able to then affect or change them using the effects and presets or the attributes of the layers themselves. So I'll click OK. Now my Studio bitmap has 2 layers. Now each of these layers is in fact the size of the composition, so it doesn't matter which you choose here, composition or composition retain layer sizes, because they both are the size of the composition itself. Okay, so it's more applicable here to the vector one, where you can see that each shape has a bounding box around it. Now, last thing I want to show you here is how you can bring in multiple files. So if I go Control Import Multiple Files, and this time I bring in my JPEG, click Open, it will bring it in, and I'll have another window asking me, do I want to bring in something else? I'll say I do, click Open, yes, thank you very much, and then I can cancel when I'm finished importing those objects. Okay, so you can import in a number of different ways, and you have to remember when you're dealing with layered files that you have to specify whether you want it to be one flat image or whether you want to bring in each one of those objects as layers.